Hi, I'm Chris Leatham, and this is The Economy and You. And we are changing our format here at The Economy and at Think Tech Hawaii. Instead of being 45 minutes, we're going to be cutting our show down to 30 minutes. And so we're going to go fast and furious and talk about lots of exciting issues. Today's guest is Arnold Phillips. Arnold is running for Senate District 10 as a Republican candidate?
As a civil libertarian.
As a civil libertarian.
Libertarian candidate.
As a libertarian candidate. Now, well, thank you for being on Think Tech Hawaii, by the way.
Thank you very much
for coming on the show. And so now, as a candidate, this is your first time running for office?
My first time running for office, and I'm certainly very pleased that I was asked, and I was really turned them down 3 times, and then finally the 3rd time I said, you know, we're citizens,
yes.
It's an obligation, and you know, we shouldn't make up our mind whether we're going to do it or not do it. If we're asked and it looks like it's workable, we should step forward. And so I was ready, willing, and able, and here I am doing it.
Well, good on you.
It's very exciting.
Good on you.
Never done it before. We'll see what happens.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm sure it is a lot of work. Yeah, I can see that.
Well, you're an attorney. You're a practicing attorney here in town?
Have been, yes. I'm here. I've been since 1996.
Okay, so you are a Kama'aina, clearly.
Not a Kama'aina.
No?
I came in '88, but I'm not a Kama'aina. But I've been here long enough that I guess I could be, maybe if they ever get around to giving honorary Kama'aina status, I might qualify.
Well, I think you qualify. I think you've been here long. You've been here a long time. Okay. Well, now you're sort of taking this on. Now, what were some of the key things that you were thinking about when you decided, okay, I'm going to make a run for the Senate?
I want us to break out of this kind of we're in this nest or this bubble or this static position that we've been in for I know for 15 years, and it's just it's not necessary. It's not the best thing for Hawaii now nor in the future. And it's not necessary. In fact, you know, I understand that we're talking. You've identified Hong Kong and Singapore.
That's right.
Hong Kong and Singapore. Well, you know, Hong Kong. I get it mixed up. One is 102. Oh, Hong Kong is 500 miles. Singapore is only 250 square miles.
That's all the space they have.
We're 6,000 square miles, and we're not that close to the elevator. The equator, so the temperature's better, and we've got the. I mean,
Singapore is really hot.
What is happening here? And you know, we need. Can you imagine if this was like Hong Kong and Singapore? We wouldn't have any problem keeping our people here, keeping our good people here, keeping our kids here. They'd all want to come back. This is where it would be happening. Instead, we're losing them to Hong Kong and to Singapore and to Silicon Valley.
Well, as a father who's raised 2 daughters here, both my daughters have left Hawaii, which of course now I feel like, you know, well, I feel a little cheated because at some point they're going to have kids.
Yes, absolutely.
And I want grandkids to spoil. And give back, of course, you know,
and
after they're retired.
Is this the more beautiful place in the world to grow up than here? No.
It is. This is a great place to live and raise your children. I mean, culturally, we give our children a real sense of culture.
Yes.
But there are disadvantages, too, because when our kids come home, they have to choose between a good-paying job on the mainland and financial security versus living in Hawaii and maybe taking a less well-paying job. And that's a real challenge. I mean, you know, and we want our kids to have that financial security.
Yes, it's so unnecessary. It's so unnecessary. It's artificially constructed. And it's simply constructed because we haven't had the will, the citizens of Hawaii haven't had the will to say, listen, this is not the way it's going to be. But this is a beautiful time. I mean, it could be the reawakening of Hawaii. I mean, we have in place the emphasis on the tech community and the emphasis on innovation and the sandbox and the innovation center. I mean, we've got, all we need to do is like take it out of its close relationship to the academic and put it into the real world and say, listen, you can go here just like they could go in San Francisco. They can go here.
And we need a win. You know, one of the things that we talk about within the technology space is we need a big win here in Hawaii. You know, like for example, Skype. You know, Skype was a big win for the little country where they started it. I can't even remember the name of the country, but it's somewhere in the Baltics.
Yeah. Lithuania, Estonia,
Lithuania,
Latvia,
somewhere like that. Yeah, right.
Vilnius,
and if we could get a win like that, then I think we could be the technology hub where East meets West.
Yes, very good. Absolutely.
Yes.
And we have all the benefits to offer, all of the benefits that the HR people and the recruiters want to be able to say. Can
Yes.
you imagine?
Yes.
Listen, you're going to come and live in Hawaii, and you're going to be able to, you're going to have all of the technology and all of the research necessities that you need. And, we need to get our broadband hooked up,
Yes.
right away. And
Well,
all that
you
sort of
know,
thing.
up until about 8 months ago, our broadband was in severe shortfall. It was only when Hawaiian Tel finally brought in another fiber optic cable that we now have this extra bandwidth to give us those opportunities, which my thought was, wow, it's about time.
Yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's not like we have to jump through any major technological hurdles. We don't have to come up with new things to get it. We just need to get it set up here and offer it. And I'm telling you, people here are starving for it.
Yes.
They're starving for it. And then we'd get our Skype. You see? Then we'd get our, they're out there. I'm telling you, they're out there. They're out there in robotics. They're out there in unmanned flying vehicles. They're out there in technology. They're out there in the health area. And if we just, said, listen, we're gonna make it real easy for you to convert from some academic project to a real life commercial, reasonably commercial, productive
I
operation.
agree, and I think if we can attract more investment capital to Hawaii, one of the things that, of course, the Bay Area has investment capital. There is people there, that are very good about how to form these entities, partnerships, manage risk, bring people together, that sort of.
Hey, we could
Synchrony,
do it.
you know,
We
that,
could do it. We could
yeah.
do it. All those guys in those capital fund people
Yes.
all have homes here and come here 3 different times a year.
Yes, they do. That's
we
right.
Just have to just say, stay right here. Give us, it would be. Oh, it was so close. We're so close. We just need to push it a little bit further, and we've been that way. We've been close for 6 or 7 years, and people are starting not to believe that we're close.
Well,
And so
we end up doing stupid things, though. Unfortunately, we do things like what went on with the super ferry, and that scares people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
properly so.
Yes.
Properly so. And it's amazing that it was that was so quickly upset. And it really, that scares the heck out of the capital people.
Sure.
We set up, we built these ferries, we built the boats, we designed and built the boats, we got them here, the vessels, and then we couldn't make a go of it. We built the facilities, the terminal facilities. It's just startling.
And now, of course, we've got the rail, which seems to be a controversial issue today. But I think, go ahead.
You know that the CIA did a study. They have a big fact study. They have to stay up on top of this. Do you know who is going to ride the rail? The most ridership are going to get on the rail system?
Who? And now, from the CIA's
students.
perspective, the students, yeah.
The students.
Yes.
The students. So it's a very expensive bus system. Now, I know that we needed it. And if this is the one we got, we can make it work. But, these things could always be better, but a lot of good effort, a lot of good planning, and, let's get it done and get it in operation and let's move on.
But let's
There's no going back on that.
One of the things
So-
about the rail that I truly believe we have to do is figure out how to harness it as an economic engine for our economic growth. If we're going to change the culture of how people move around, then with that kind of an investment, we have to figure out ways to leverage it and make more out of it.
Yes.
And
yes,
I think if we develop entrepreneurial ideas or provide entrepreneurs with the tools that they need in order to leverage the rail, then I think we can turn it into a success ultimately.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
it's a rail system.
Yes.
So it's the transportation, it is connection, it's communication of people and that sort of thing. So, the best we can do is make it work really well to get people from point A to point B. And so.
So I think that's what we've made the investment, we've made the commitment. Now we just have to follow through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, it comes down to money, the way to make it really work is to make it really inexpensive.
Yeah.
In fact, for certain people, it might even be free. Then people would use it. And I mean, that works. It works in places in Europe. I mean, in Italy, it doesn't cost to ride the bus, generally. And so, I mean, those models are out there, those examples are out there. We just need to follow them. So.
Well, I don't think we have to, I think one of the things we can do really well is steal really great ideas from other people. I don't think we have to always come up with our own, ingenious. I mean, there are great works of art or other technologies out there. Let's figure out ways to utilize something that's already been developed.
Oh, I totally agree with you.
Yeah,
and then just let's do it.
Well, the other thing that we had talked about also is one of the areas that you were concerned about when we were discussing before the show was the employee retirement system of Hawaii. And this was one of those things where it feels like that we have a boat with a big motor on it and we've thrown an anchor over the side.
Well, yes, that's a very good analogy. The other thing is that people have, I think we all need to look at this to inform ourselves about it, and then to realize that we're going to hit, instead of looking forward to a possible future of growth, we're going to hit a wall. We're going to hit a wall. And, I'm very interested in working with, college students and high school students. The kids are coming up here because they have to know that they're going to owe, besides their educational loan, they're going to owe $20,000 or $30,000 each of them. And we might be able to paste it together for another 6 or 7 years or 15 or 17 years, but they're going to have to pay it. And and it's just, we've seen the examples. We've seen them in Hawaii.
Right.
We've seen them in Alaska and in California and
Michigan,
Illinois and Michigan.
Yes, that's right.
Absolutely. And in Detroit, we have, I'm sure you're aware of this, but the viewers maybe, we have it's a defined benefit plan, not a defined contribution. It's not the contributions that we're defining, it's the benefit. This is what you're going to get. This is the package of, and that's, without even considering the cost of that at the time of the person's retirement and all of that growth. It's just, it's just a bad design. In fact, it's a bad design to the point of being unworkable. I mean, it's the problem they had in Detroit. And we're going to see it everywhere.
Well, you've seen these defined benefit plans. One of the challenges, of course, is it's based on generally the 3 last years of your salary. And then there's some ratio against your salary, whether it's 60% or 65%. It would seem to me at some point we're going to have to give the retirees a haircut and reduce the amount of benefit available to them.
I don't know about giving them a haircut. I think what we just need to do is sit down everybody around the same table and figure out the math. We can't pay it.
That's right.
So, and if we try to pay for the next 7 years, then we can't pay for the other 40 years. And so what I think we should do, I mean, this I think is something that I would propose at least for us to talk about. Why not take the defined benefit plan, switch it over to defined contribution plan? These people made contributions. Every state employee's made a contribution.
Right.
There's going to be less. So they'd give them a bonus of 7, 10, 12% to go and put that in and put it in defined contribution plan, and let that's just so much more realistic.
Well, we've done, in business today, we use defined contribution plans, profit sharing 401k plans, or we may even use like a target benefit plan, which is sort of a medium between the two of a defined benefit versus a profit sharing plan. So maybe we have to figure out some sort of a hybrid.
Yes, exactly. But the thing is this, the thing is that the union members need to know we can't, it's not possible to pay them.
That's right.
And so, I mean, let's not think let's everybody sit down and say, listen, what are the facts? And it's clear that this is not going to be possible. What can we do now instead of having to reach a decision in some sort of a crisis situation?
So let's take a quick commercial break.
Absolutely.
We got a 1-minute break and we'll be right back.
Okay,
I'm Chris
good.
Leatham with The Economy and You here at Think Tech Hawaii, and stay tuned for more. Aloha.
Aloha, everybody. My name is Mark Shklov. I'd like you to join me for my program, Law Across the Sea, on thinktechhawaii.com. Aloha.
You're watching Think Tech Hawaii, meeting people we may not otherwise have met, helping us understand and appreciate the good things about Hawaii. Great content for Hawaii from Think Tech.
Aloha, this is Reg Baker. I'm the host of Business in Hawaii. We air every Thursday at 2 o'clock, on thinktechhawaii.com. We broadcast from the ThinkTech studios in downtown Honolulu, and we talk about positive and successful companies in Hawaii. People that have been successful despite the obstacles. They all have a good story to tell. Hopefully, we'll see you on Thursday at 2 o'clock. Aloha.
Structure, absolutely.
Hi, we're back. Hi, I'm Chris Letha with The Economy and You. Today's guest is Arnold Phillips. He is the Senate candidate for the Libertarian Party
Yes.
for Senate District 10. Now, who are you running against in Senate District 10?
Leslie Hara.
Leslie Hara.
Yes.
Okay, all right, okay. So now...
Very fine man, been
He
there
is.
for 24 years.
He has.
And I
He
know
served us well.
I know he is anxious, would love to have somebody take the responsibility for him. So
know.
I said I'd be happy to take it
That's
for a
right.
couple of years.
That's right, that's right. You know, give people a break.
Absolutely, I think that's. I think he's
You
appreciated.
know, here's the thing. There are lots of good people at the legislature.
Absolutely there are.
But, you know, sometimes we need an infusion of new energy and new ideas.
Absolutely. In fact,
Yeah.
it has to work on that. That's the fuel.
Mhm.
That's the fuel that an idea machine like the legislature runs on. And if you don't have that, it doesn't work.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And we need to sort of I think there's a lot of politicking, internal politicking that goes on at the legislature. And I think sometimes that sort of, what happens is the politicking takes over that competition of ideas. And I think it would be great if we could, as we infuse new people into the legislature, if that becomes a predominant thought, is developing new innovations legislatively.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think you're totally right. Absolutely.
But one of the challenges also, besides the employee retirement system, is that, you know, the growth that we're having, say like in the Kaka'ako, Mo'iliili, Ala Moana
Yes.
area, you know, it also presents a lot of challenges because, as we talked about earlier, you've got more people living in the area. That means you have a strain on services. And are we getting a good return on the development that's going on in that area?
Well, I don't know if we're able to make that determination yet, and the reason is that because Hawaii is such an attractive location, and because it is United States property, we've attracted this foreign investment, which is tremendous for us. It makes it cosmopolitan. It makes it very solid, and but it doesn't give us the opportunity right now to see how all of these units, residential units, will affect the ability to provide the services. But we
Yes.
do know, at least in my opinion, we are this infrastructure brings up a greater problem, and that is that we need, in my opinion, at the state level, a serious group that will study the future so we can anticipate how we're going to deal with the ocean level rising. I mean, it's going to come. They're already experiencing in the South Pacific, so we know that's going to happen.
Right.
And with other things like the water, the fresh water, and when do we max out on our present infrastructure? I mean, I live in my district, Marco Polo.
Yes.
And I've been there since, 92. There hasn't been a year they haven't torn up Kapiolani.
Yeah.
They have torn it up I mean, listen, it's hundreds of millions of dollars in repairs when we need to take that money. We need to think it through and to look at it in the future so that we can replace things that aren't working and won't work and are out of date and antiquated and need to be replaced. And
well, there's a sort of out of sight, out of mind approach
Absolutely.
to a lot of these issues.
yes,
And it would seem to me that perhaps what we need to do is take a look at what we can do to build infrastructure underneath the streets where we can make modifications without actually having to tear up the streets.
Yes, absolutely.
If we were to build substructures under there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And,
Very good.
and think
Yes.
strategically rather than tactically.
No. But what we're doing, because we don't have a plan,
Mm-hmm.
and because we have all of these crisis water, when the pipes burst, the pipes burst.
Yes.
And so we're always having to allocate all our resources to deal with the Band-Aid, fixing the explosion problem instead of planning, and that's in order to look at how we're going to systematically over the next 25 years find the money to start and get it redone. Because it has to be redone.
Yes.
You know what? I had a funny story because we have a situation with the Marco Polo. It's been built, it was in 72, and the windows had to be replaced.
Oh.
And this shows you people's mindset. So we were talking about replacing windows. You know what one of my residents told me? He said, listen, they haven't replaced the windows in the Sistine Chapel yet.
Oh.
I mean, it's 2,500 years old.
Little different window, though, I think, yeah. And are you sure they haven't replaced the windows in the Sistine Chapel?
I mean, the point is that you're right. It not only is it out of sight, out of mind unintentionally, we intentionally construct ways to convince ourselves that we don't need to think about these infrastructural problems because they're not, we're not faced with them right now.
Well, and of course, the last thing you want...
We can't afford that.
Well, that's right. And the last thing you want is windows falling out of the buildings onto the people down below, which is...
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we do need to take care of those issues.
All those things we need to do.
And that is really sort of a paradigm that we see throughout Hawaii, is that there are the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and we're not necessarily looking at things programmatically. And that, of course, that's one of the things I think everybody faces as a legislator. You're sort of focused on getting money for your district. The mindset of, let me bring money home.
That's true, of course, and
Yes.
that'll never change. But I think that the people aren't electing us to bring money home as much as they really want us to look out for the care of that part of the community and the greater community. And that requires this planning, and planning requires this, there's the planning and then there's discussion among the community, so the community is behind the plan, and we don't do either.
Well, they reconfigured HCDA. Under Abercrombie, HCDA was very controversial. The processes seemed to benefit developers more than it benefited the citizens in the area. Their process was hard to follow. You had to submit testimony prior to even having full knowledge of what the developer's intention was. And I think it was designed that way as a way to mitigate pushback from the community. It seems that it's been redesigned since then and is more favorable to having input from the community, where the community has full knowledge of what's anticipated from the developers. Maybe we need to learn a lesson from HCDA.
Yes, and it's not an impossible, chore to do this. We simply have the developer promise that for the next 35 years they will have bond funds available for us in order to end anything that wasn't anticipated that we need, that they would have had responsibility for. We all agree at the time of construction and wasn't taken care of, that we could draw on the funds, and they'll be interest bearing. The funds will be interest bearing, so they won't lose anything if they've done it all and there are no problems. Then no problems. But if there are problems, we don't have to pick up for their problems.
Yeah, I think,
and we can say to them, you go to hell. We don't really think there might be some problems with your design, but as long as you're willing to, kind of.
Well, yeah, some mechanism for guaranteeing this.
Yes, I don't want to call it a guarantee, but that you will stand behind your work. And if we do have this that comes up in the future, that there'll be, we know it'll be.
Well, there's a way to mitigate the damages that may come from challenges with infrastructure and so on. I guess that's what you're trying to say.
So, and what we'll end up doing is we'll end up getting better. We'll get better work out of the box because they realize they're not going to be able to. 7 years from now, they're still going to be responsible in some aspect, in some respects, for their work.
And one of the things work with people who renovate old houses, and one of the things that I found is that sometimes the quality that goes into the houses when they're initially built, not so much.
Right,
Yeah,
right, yeah,
So it's really, I think we need to be able to figure out ways to. Of course, materials are getting better these days. Now, I will say
Absolutely.
the technology is getting better, but
Right.
but yeah, I think your ideas are sound. And for people, if they wanted to get a hold of you and talk with you more about your candidacy, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
The website is phillipsforhawaii.org.
.org.
Yes.
Okay.
And all the material should be there, and I'd love to hear from anyone. And
So, are we going to see you at some of the debates coming up? And do you know
We'll
if
have
there's
to
going to have
ask-
any debates going on?
well, it depends on Mr. Ihara if he wishes to if he wishes to debate.
Well, I
But
hope
we'll
you get
see.
the opportunity.
I do too. I do
Yes.
too. I'd love to be. I'd love to talk, discuss it with him. It's more of a discussion here, and try so the people can, get an understanding of who we are.
Well, good. I thank you for coming on to Think Tech Hawaii.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's a great program.
And I look forward to seeing you out in the neighborhood, walking and talking and chatting up all your neighbors.
I will. I'll be there.
Yes.
That's what's going to happen.
All right, sounds
Very
fantastic.
good.
Thank you for
so
being on the
much.
show, Arnold. And I'm Chris Leatham. This is Think Tech Hawaii, and my show is The Economy and You, and we will see you again next week. Aloha.
You're watching Think Tech Hawaii, meeting people we may not have otherwise met and helping us understand and appreciate the good things about Hawaii. Great content for Hawaii from Think Tech.